Burlington versus Oakville, both amazing cities, but which one is right for you? And that's what we're going to be covering in today's video. Hey guys, so welcome back. In today's video, I thought we would compare and contrast Burlington versus Oakville on 5 major categories. You can skip around to the timestamps here to get your questions answered, but let's first just jump on into some of the general stats. So overall, Oakville is a slightly larger population as Burlington's population is just under 200,000 people. However, Oakville is closer to 225,000 people. And one of the reasons it does have a larger population is because it is slightly closer to Toronto, with Mississauga bordering its east and Burlington bordering the west, where Burlington is located just slightly more to the west, giving it an extra 10 to 30 minutes commute time to downtown Toronto. Now, both the weather in Oakville and Burlington, because they are right beside each other, is pretty much exactly the same. So now that you have a general idea of the location and size of the cities, what's the cost of living in both of these cities? Now, Burlington and Oakville are not known for their home or cost of living affordability, as overall Burlington is just 23% higher than the national average for the complete affordability breakdown, where Oakville's about the same at 22%. So what you'll notice here is Burlington is a bit more affordable to eat out. However, in Oakville, the transportation costs are significantly reduced because of that increased transportation support towards Toronto. So one thing similar about both these markets here is the low home affordability, as these are some of the most expensive markets to buy real estate in Canada. So the average price point in Oakville is just under $2 million and about 140% higher than the Burlington average price point. So it is definitely more expensive to live in Oakville. So with this low home affordability, can you still find detached homes for under $1 million in Oakville and in Burlington? And as we look at these graphs here, we can see that Burlington does have a few properties that did sell under the $1 million price point. However, it's getting fewer and far between, whereas in Oakville, it's basically virtually unrealistic to expect any home to be under $1 million, as only 2 homes sold in 2021 for under $1 million. So those were the detached home markets, but what about the condominium markets in both of these locations? Now, also to mention, Oakville's condominium market is about 1/3 the size of Burlington's condominium market, as Burlington just has more options. As you can see in these graphs here, you can still buy a condo in Burlington and in Oakville for under $500,000. However, it is getting harder and harder each year. And the final thing we'll look at for home affordability is the property taxes. Now, these are basically the same, with Oakville's being 0.72 compared to Burlington's 0.77. So Oakville does have a slight advantage there. However, the property taxes are typically also on a more expensive home. All right, so now let's take a look at how the education stacks up in both Burlington and Oakville. So overall, both of the cities have great education support systems for all of their citizens, with them continuously ranking above the provincial averages. But the best way I have found to compare and contrast different schooling systems is by using the Fraser Institute ranking system. So I'll leave a link in the description for both Oakville and Burlington's list, so you can look at each individual schools. But for simplicity here, I just took the averages of both the public, Catholic, and elementary schools and high schools, added them up, and came the average. And as you can see, Oakville's average was 7.6 compared to Burlington's average of 6.7. Now, of course, when you're deciding what school is right for you, there's a lot more research to do, but at least this gives you a general overview of how it ranks on the general standardized testings provincially. And as for post-secondary schools, Oakville's home to Sheridan College, where Burlington is home to Michael DeGroote's Business School from McMaster, where you can get your master's in business. So now that you have a general overview of the education, how are the walk scores located in each of the cities? So overall, Oakville's walk score is a 42, which is very on par with Burlington, meaning for the most part, you're going to be car dependent when living in this city here, unless you're around really one of the major transportation hubs, whether that's downtown Oakville, downtown Burlington, or right beside one of the GO train stations. Now the next score is the public transit score. Now Oakville is slightly better than Burlington in this here with a score of 40. However, if you are commuting to Toronto on a routine basis, Oakville is definitely the more friendlier public transit city, as not only are you just closer, so your commute time's less, but that Trafalgar GO train station is one of the most used, I think it's the second most used GO train station in all of Ontario behind Union Station. So it does have a lot of traffic, but it's well maintained. And the final score is the bikeability score, with Oakville's being slightly less than Burlington's at 58. However, still great, as you do have a lot of different biking trails and communities throughout the city. However, biking on the roads in some areas can be a little dicey. Now, as for just getting around town and driving around, my personal opinion is Oakville is a lot more confusing to drive around, as Burlington is a simple grid system with just north to south and east to west as the major roads, where Oakville's major roads are a lot more winding, going in between all the ravines and crevices that Oakville has to offer. So, in my opinion, slightly more confusing to drive and get to understand the local roads in Oakville. And now the final category we're going to look at today is the lifestyle. Now, overall, Oakville and Burlington offer a similar lifestyle. However, there's a key few differences. So the very first one is Oakville is the town of Oakville. And one of the reasons they're called the town of Oakville versus the city of Burlington is while it does have a bigger population, it still remains to have that small town feel compared to Burlington's downtown, as there's just a lot less high rises in the downtown area. And while it is a small town feel, it doesn't take away from the state-of-art health facilities that Oakville offers, with a brand new hospital just located on Bronte and Dundas compared to Burlington's older hospital in Joe Brant. However, one of the advantages about living in Burlington is that waterfront lifestyle that Spencer Smith Park, that big waterfront park, has to offer, as this park here is home to a lot more festivals and bigger festivals, as it does have the Canadian's largest Rib Fest, whereas Oakville's festivals tend to be a little bit smaller. Now, in both of these cities here, you're going to find great local restaurants to eat out and enjoy no matter what price point you're looking to shop at. But not only that, you're going to be living in a very safe community, as Oakville and Burlington are some of the safest cities in Canada as a whole. Now, while Burlington does have a better waterfront lifestyle, if you enjoy a boat or own a boat and want to have a dog, Oakville is definitely better for that. And one of the final things very similar about both Oakville and Burlington is the great green spaces, parks, and outdoor activities it has, with a lot of different hiking trails through the ravines and escarpments, with the waterfront parks, golfing courses, and much, much more. So if you've enjoyed this video and want to learn more about what it's like to live in Burlington, Ontario, the next video I'd recommend you check out are the top neighborhoods in Burlington, where I break down the best neighborhoods based on your personal lifestyle. So go check that out. And if you have any other questions, feel free to send me a message. But otherwise, I hope you have a great day.